the distance with local sports, covering the Loretto Mustangs, Summertown Eagles, and Lawrence County Wildcats. Basketball, football, baseball, and more. This is the X Sports Network.
Great food is just a short drive. Great food is just a short drive to Hinies Barbecue in Lawrenceburg. Mouth-watering is just one way to describe the amazing flavors of the best piece of Hiney in town. When you dig into a plate of pulled pork, hand-chopped brisket, chicken, wood-fire oven pizzas, and the menu goes on. Wash it all down with a swig of Hiney Shine lemonade, and then make your way over to the gift shop full of Hiney sauces, snacks, and more. Hinies Barbecue, Highway 43 North in Lawrenceburg.
This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody back here to Hinies Barbecue tonight for X Sports Live, a special X Sports Live. It is the wrestling show. We are just a few days away from the doubleheader. Saturday, Sunday night, Wrestlemaina going down at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. We're not going. We might be watching somewhere, but yeah, maybe not. We missed the good.
I did watch last year the doubleheader just because Stone Cold Steve Austin was.
That's right. He was in both days.
Saw Kevin Owens the first night and then made some appearances on the second night.
Yeah. Hey, so hey, we might be. Come on, Dusty. Come on. There you go.
You don't have to put them on.
You don't have to put it on tonight.
Just get it close enough where it'll pick you up.
And
Sure they can hear my voice.
Oh, absolutely. That works. So, but before we get into wrestling night, guys, we got to talk about some local sports here. So early on, Clint, we'll start with you guys. Summertown softball team playing very well at this point right now, 14-2, and this team has just been on fire so far.
Yeah, I talked to Adam Lindsay today. I think he pretty much second loss was against Siegel the other day in a tournament, and felt like they should have won that game. Lost it 4-3, and he said the bats just kind of went cold, just totally annihilate Lewis County yesterday, 15-0, and so they're kind of rocking and rolling. But you'll find out tomorrow because Lawrence County went to Loretto today. Summertown has to go Loretto tomorrow, and Loretta's coming off a big win against Lawrence County today, and Summertown had a day off, so kind of see how that district will shape out. I was a little shocked that Loretto got beat as handily as they did by Giles County last week, but everybody can have a bad game. But Summertown softball, they're just kind of rocking and rolling. I think Coach Burleson, talking to Adam, I think they feel like they've got about 7 hitters that if you mess up and hang something, they can hit it out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
And they feel really good about their pitching staff, whether it's for throwing a freshman or throwing Hannah Lindsay, the senior, the ace. I think they feel pretty good with the defense and what they can play behind them. Summertown baseball, they're up 2-0 in the 6th against a team from Illinois. They have been struggling. As I told you off air, I asked Timmy Kinnick, who's doing the play-by-play and has a son, Kane, who's a sophomore that plays, and I said, if tell me what I need to say about the Summertown baseball team on our show tonight, and he said, you can't say what I'd want to say. Of course, that's a parent and a Kinnick. But he's a little down on him, but he did say the bats have got to start hitting better. And he said, we've got to start playing better defense behind our pitching. He said we're making a lot of errors that are just leading to a lot of runs, and when you're not hitting the ball, we all know you can't afford to make errors. And
right.
But it looks like the good thing they've got going for them, they ain't played no cupcakes.
Right. Yeah, they've played a lot of tough competition, and they've played well against that tough competition.
And they're a young team, so they'll get better and better.
And you spoke about the baseball team, and they, playing another team. They're leading, I think, 2-0. Mm-hmm. So they're playing the third straight team from the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
So some good out-of-state competition.
They're getting them a dose of Yankees.
Yeah. So some good out-of-state competition, but just like you mentioned there, it's, doesn't matter how good your defense and your pitching is, you got to learn how to hit the baseball.
And you got to make routine plays behind your pitching, and that'll come along the more they play. They do have a lot of basketball players on that squad that haven't got as much time in as a lot of schools have gotten. So they'll get it together.
moving ahead now to Lawrence County, softball-wise, they're trailing Loretto right now. And
it's final.
It's final.
I think it was 13-3 or 12-3.
Okay.
I think it was the final. Sad news for Lawrence County. Hope that their pitcher, what's the
Hagan. Elizabeth
Hagan. She had to come out in the first inning. She got hit in the hand. And as it turns out, not the good hand you need to get hit on.
You can get hit in the left hand. You just can't get hit in the right hand.
But she had to come out in the first inning. Ella Hillhouse had to pitch all 7. And credit Loretto. They hit the ball well and made a lot of defensive plays. But, what I was watching it, I got here, we were sitting here for a good 45 minutes, so I got to watch a lot of that game. And Lawrence County got some things going, put the bat on the ball, but just kind of had some strikeouts at some bad times, had some errors at the worst times, and you can't do that against a good Loretto team.
No, can't do that. And they played well against Spring Hill earlier in the week on Monday, got another district win, but they're going to need. Top half of the order has been pretty good for them. They've done some production, and then at times they've gotten production in the bottom half of the order. They just need that to be more consistent.
I agree. And it's just little things as far as, and I'm sure that's what their coaching staff's telling them. It's just little things on hitting behind runners. 2-strike hitting. We're not trying to hit one in the parking lot. Right. We're trying to hit behind a runner and advance a runner. And,
right.
Because they're not scoring a lot of runs, and you got to find a way somehow. And of course, and it's going to be even tougher now when you're down your starting pitcher. Let's just hope she gets a good report and she's not out too long and nothing's broke. But talking to some of the parents that I talked to on the phone, they're kind of expecting the worst and hoping for the best.
And moving ahead to the baseball side of things at Lawrence County, back-to-back losses to Lincoln County. Lincoln County, a very, very good team, 2 very good pitchers, and this team just can't catch a break right now. They seem to be getting everyone's best pitcher at this point right now.
Go ahead, because I haven't watched Lawrence County other than a couple of games.
We've called a bunch of them, AJ, and they have. From Columbia Academy to start the season off, and then we went straight into Summertown, and then we had Brooks, 3 of the best pitchers that we've seen in a long time. And then we got a little break there with Richland and Giles County. We got some wins, and then we go right into Lincoln County. And my goodness, Clint, that may be one of the best all-around baseball teams I've seen in a while.
Yeah. I did looking on video, I was like, Lawrence County looks like they're playing 8th graders and freshmen, and they're full-grown men.
I said it, their catcher, Stubblefield, from where I'm standing, that kid's 6'5".
Yeah.
And but hit the baseball. They hit it hard. And I'm going to tell you, Lawrence County High School, it's errors.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many throwing errors in my life. It's like they field the ball cleanly, and then we get a throwing error. Mm-hmm. And bless their hearts, they just ain't been able to hit the baseball. And I know Clint's moved the lineup around, and he's doing what he can to figure it out. But it's just they're in a slump. And when we say slump in baseball and hitting, that's where they're at right now.
And it's kind of like I was talking about Summertown. Hitting is contagious.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it seems like when nobody can. It seems like when you can at the top of the lineup, it seems like nobody can. And hitting is so contagious, and you just need a spark. And they're just kind of pleading for one, just like Summertown is. Just get us something to get us moving.
To just get that momentum, and then for the pitching for Lawrence County, you got a pitcher that's going there and doing good, and then when we start making errors, well, then then it kind of falls down. Then then it's full count after full count, and then their pitch count gets so high that they got to come out of the game just to kind of save their arms.
Right.
Yeah, just need some spark. It's not for lack of trying.
Clint
Wright and company are trying their best. These guys have been working pretty hard, but just something's just not falling right now. Doesn't mean it won't fall at some point, but they've played some really good competition right at the top of the season.
If Lincoln County don't win a district and even win a region, then something's wrong, I think.
Right.
That's just a good baseball club.
And we'll find out how good the rest of the district is as we move forward the rest of the season. Moving ahead to Loretto, we talked about the Loretto softball team had a tough game against Giles County. Got a rebound today against Lawrence County, and that Summertown game, coming up tomorrow night, and it's that one's right around the corner.
Yeah, Loretto, you got to be feeling good. You just hung 12 runs, and you've been struggling to score runs. Mm-hmm. And so you got to feel really good, especially with your county, district, region rival, you know, coming in that you're expected. Now again, I don't know what happened in Loretta against Giles County, but I feel like Loretta is better than Giles County. So I think it's going to come down to Summertown and Loretta. But Carly Urban pitched a wonderful game today for Loretta, held Lawrenceburg to only 3 runs, and they played some really good defense behind her, and they had some big hits, and they ran the bases really well against Lawrence County.
And now Loretto baseball picked a couple of district wins against Lewis County this week, won 9-6 on the road, 13-3 here. That's a machine, and that machine's starting to turn, and they've picked up some big wins against some good competition from across the state line in Alabama.
Well, and I haven't kept up with Loretta other than the box scores, just kind of watching the end of some of the broadcasts and stuff. But Loretta's kind of what I was thinking. I think they're going to team that can make a run in Murfreesboro. And, we touched on Lawrence County and Summertown. They've struggled, but they've played a tough schedule. Well, Loretta's really not struggled, and they've played a really tough schedule.
Right.
So, I think that, like you said, once it gets into district play, tournament time, I think Loretta's going to be kind of probably looking like top dogs around here.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready for sure.
Yeah, and they might be another state semifinalist, maybe even more.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right around the corner, whether we want to believe it or not. That's right around the corner. Well, guys, we're going to take a short break. Coming back, our first subject line here in our wrestling show. We're going to be talking best tag teams and our favorite groups/factions. That's next here on X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue.
It's time for some straight talk about zero-turn mowers. Husqvarna's zero-turn performance mowers with rugged commercial drive give you high performance and a comfortable ride. Heavy-duty frame and chassis and commercial hydraulics take no punishment. With warranties now up to 5 years and low financing options, there's no competition. For a straight-up deal on the best in professional zero-turn mowers, go straight to your Husqvarna dealer.
Hit a home run with the team at United Country Southern Tennessee Realty.
On the web, 931-321-8226.
Tommy Johnson, 931-722-4840.
Tyler Webb, 731-438-2084.
Travis Caldwell's 931-629-3033.
You're safe with United Country Southern.
Being raised in Tennessee, we believe in the importance of family and community. Creating a positive experience at our family-owned and operated business is one of the ways we share that belief.
Being in an accident can be extremely stressful. When it came time for my repairs, Mashburn's made it easy.
I am lucky to have a wonderful company in my community like Mashburn's Collision Center. It's reassuring to know that I'm in good hands because their work is second to none.
We pride ourselves that the Mashburn name is one of the most trusted in Lawrence County since 1981. Mashburn's Collision Center. Let our family take care of yours.
Got primary care? Find your way to better health with primary care by One Stop Medical. With decades of combined experience, you'll find a one-on-one relationship just like the old days, but with the convenience and technology of today. When One Stop Medical does primary care, it's the best. Call today for an appointment and find your way to healthy living. Serving Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, and Hohenwald. Phone 931-244-8220.
I'm Mike Keith. Let
Primary
Elliott
care.
Johnson Insurance find the auto owner's policy that makes a difference in your life. Call Elliott Johnson Insurance at one of their 3 locations, Florence, Loretta, and Lawrenceburg. Elliott Johnson Insurance, moving forward for our clients every day.
This is the X Sports Network.
And back here at X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue, it's the wrestling show here. Clint and Dusty and myself here talking our favorite wrestling memories. Now, we're going to be talking tag teams and our favorite all-time groups. Dusty, I'll start with you. He says he's been doing research for the last 3 days. So who are your some of your favorite all-time tag teams?
Our favorite all-time tag team is going to be Legion of Doom. Second is going to be one that guys, they kind of portrayed them a little. Didn't really win any titles, but it was, I mean, you talked about it a couple weeks ago, the Powers of Pain. I know it's one that people are like, who? And you have to look it up. It was the Warlord and the Barbarian.
Yeah.
I guess my third favorite was the Steiner Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about them.
You forgot about the dog-faced gremlin?
Yeah.
They were so good. They were so good.
And then I guess that was my favorites. And then, you know, I'm going to say the Hart Foundation was a strong fourth, and then Demolition.
Oh,
Demolition, yeah.
Yeah, I had the Legion of Doom, Demolition, and the Hart Foundation.
And I've got several wrote down or typed out on my phone, but I'll stop at that because I don't want to get on some of y'all because I'm sure y'all probably got them as well.
Glenn, who you got?
Well, let me give some people some shout-outs that chimed in on your topic today when you let everybody know what we would be talking about. Coach Jason Busby, Summertown football coach, says his best tag team, his favorite tag team is the Road Warriors. Will didn't say best tag team. Lakeisha Oliver, she answered everything.
Yes, she did.
Her best tag team would be the Four Horsemen. In parentheses, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
There you go.
Which is a great pick.
Great one.
Braxton Best, he must be a youngster.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his are younger. He does have some of the old ones in his Mount Rushmores and stuff, but his best tag team are the Hardy Boys.
Okay. I've got the Hardy Boys on my list.
Yeah. So thank you guys for answering, and thank Gretchen for saying this got to be Clint's idea. But it was a mutual thing.
Yeah.
Now all right. I didn't really have a favorite. My favorite, I guess, is Harlem Heat. I love Booker T and Stevie Ray.
So good.
You know, and they're true WCW guys until that thing blew up. And
thank you.
But to me, the best that was, I mean, nobody could touch were the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I forgot.
They weren't, technically didn't work along. They were singles guys that did a tag team, a little bit of a run, 2 or 3 different times.
Right.
But if you think tag teams, you're thinking Steiner Brothers, you're thinking Harlem Heat, you're thinking the Hart Foundation. You're thinking guys like that. But to me, the best was the Brothers of Destruction because nobody could touch that much.
Right.
But I love Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Back in the '80s, they were those two against the Rockers, Shawn Michaels. You could kind of see what was going to build up to the early '90s. And that was great.
Yeah.
So Legion of Doom. Yeah, I mean that gives
great
you chills.
Song.
And the music come out with the and then they had the spikes.
Oh,
and in the early '80s, you didn't know if they were heel, face, or what. Of course, they stabbed Dusty in the eye.
Yep.
And I remember watching that live on TV. And then they come to WWF, and they're the good guys.
Yeah.
I just think theirs all around the best, but that's it's all opinionated.
Dark Side of the Ring had a nice little feature on those guys, and unfortunately, it's called Dark Side of the Ring, so there is some darkness to it. But they originally came out to back in the territory days. It was Black Sabbath's Iron Man.
Yes.
Which can you imagine what those guys will look like back then, as huge as they were?
And it's sad too because you watch it and Animal was pretty straight-laced, businessman, just wanted to do the job. Hawk was freaking crazy.
He was a nut.
In real life, too.
And that's what I mean.
And
you can probably understand why Animal's still with us and Hawk's not.
Animal's not with us.
Animal passed
that's right,
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, he was alive long enough to do a couple things.
He done a couple of legend shows, I think.
Yeah. So a couple of them, I mean, we mentioned the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. I had Demolition, had the Hart Foundation. 2 of them, though, that no one's listed, or you might have them on their list. Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah.
The New Age Outlaws?
Yeah.
I never cared about Road Dogg or Billy Gunn.
They had good matches, though, and they had
they had good promos.
Some good promos.
Oh, yes.
And also the Dudley Boys.
Yeah.
They're probably the most iconic. You know, they won titles all over the world.
Yeah, ECW. They won them in WWE. They won them in Japan. Like they had like little things in the matches. You know, the headbutting to the groin. You know, what's up?
Would you ever think Devon get the chair would be something that the whole stadium would be screaming?
Shuts and Devon, get the tables. Yeah. I've been in the arena for one of those, and oh my gosh, like I remember I was with my dad. It was a WWF Raw in Huntington, West Virginia, and here come the Dudley Boys. And all of a sudden, like, you know, everyone got, this was like 97, 98, everyone got excited. My dad's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, here we go. Devon, get the tables. Yeah, that was great. Is there any other ones, Dusty, out on your list that we didn't mention?
I got two more and these guys still go to this day, and that's a Rock and Roll Express.
Yes.
And then I also got the Midnight Express.
Yes.
And then I've got a couple from today's era. I mean, I had the New Day. You know, they had the long title reign, and then the Usos.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy and Jay.
Yeah, they're part of that bloodline storyline that's really, really good right now.
Really good.
It's really the best thing going.
That's what's keeping it afloat, I think.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's Roman Reigns. Him turning heel was a great idea.
Oh, it was great move.
Yeah, and then having Cody Rhodes kind of like a Goldberg through NWO
I guess we'll talk
thing.
about that a little later in the show.
We'll talk about that a little later. So now we're going to move on to groups. Who are some of your all's favorite groups / factions?
I'm a Horseman guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and then probably the best of all for me is NWO.
Mm-hmm.
Nation of Domination with Farouk and The Rock.
Yes.
You know, The Rock was young.
That's where The Rock got out of Die Rocky Die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. This is one in Ministry of Darkness.
Yes. Who was this? Undertaker, Kane?
Undertaker. It was
had Viscera.
AKA
they
Mabel.
had Paul Bear in there. They had a few more.
They had the Acolytes with them too.
Yeah, Farouk and JBL.
That's another one we left off.
Oh, we left off
the APA.
Yeah.
APA.
and
I can't say Ron Simmons' thing on air.
And I had one more in there, and they were
dang.
They were just three guys, but the Freebirds.
Yeah, they were territory legends.
Yes, Michael Hayes.
Mainly for what they did off of.
Oh, those guys were the party animals.
Yeah.
My favorite group's the Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
And they intertwined, but you always had Ric Flair and Arn.
Yeah.
And sometimes Tully, and then you would add Ole was.
Lex Luger was a part of it.
Yeah, Sting was even in there.
Sting was in. I did like it when they had McMichael and Benoit.
Yeah.
I know we're not supposed to say Benoit's name ever in anything good in wrestling, but Flair, Arn, McMichael, and Benoit, because McMichael could talk and Benoit could wrestle.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm with Dusty, and obviously DX is one.
Yeah.
But to me, that was just a ripoff of NWO.
It was.
And NWO is what won the 83-week war for a long time. I mean, that's what put WCW ahead of WWF for the first time and the only time for 83 weeks was the NWO. Now, you had Sting that had turned into the Crow character. That was a huge part of it, and you had Goldberg. But if it's not for the NWO, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and at that time, Flair was doing all he could.
Yeah, if Hogan's still in the red, and yellow, WCW goes under in about 95.
Right.
Probably so, yeah.
And it kept and it took wrestling to another level that we hadn't seen since the early 80s.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, I can remember, because we're dumb at the time, me and Dusty's 16, 17 years old when it all happens. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall come out of the crowd, and you're thinking that's real. You're watching that thinking,
I totally thought it was real.
What is going on?
They're fixing to go beat up all the WCW wrestlers.
Yes.
And they made that a great storyline and turned it into the NWO. And look, I mean, who would have ever thought in their wildest years, when you grew up, me and Dusty's age, and wrestling was what it was in the 80s, Hulk Hogan's never going to be heel.
No.
And then you make Hulk Hogan heel, and then you turn it into the biggest heel maybe of all time. That's huge.
And I thought about this, and I was gonna ask you, just because we're so close in age and we were raised right here together.
Yeah.
I know what AJ's our age too. Being a Hogan fan my whole life, and he was my hero. He was the hero. What did you feel that night when he leg dropped Savage.
Yeah. I honestly, at that time, I was real stale on it, even when he left So I didn't really. I was always more of a Sting guy anyway, so I just liked it that Sting was actually getting to be in matches with Hogan. And I honestly said to myself, all right, now Sting can take over. And I was kind of glad. I was like, all right, this is getting a little bit old, but I was still shocked. I still couldn't believe somebody had the –
yes.
I don't know what our parameters here. That I couldn't believe somebody had
Onions.
the guts to actually talk Hogan and him go along with, okay, we're not eating the vitamins and saying the prayers anymore.
No,
we're turning.
Yeah.
I remember watching that live with my papa, and I remember looking out at, they pan the camera, and there's people crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when they started to throw in the trash in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and the difference with DX was the NWO was all about destruction. Remember, they would take over the announce table, they spray paint everything. DX was more of a
had a lot of funny segments.
Had a lot of funny segments, more of a thumb to authority. You know, the X chop to the groin. You know, all the words, saying that to McMahon, saying it to Sergeant Slaughter. They were more of just ticking people off, whereas NWO was more about destruction. It was a copycat because remember, all those guys, with the exception of Hogan, were all in that same clique.
Yes.
So they basically just spun it off. But that DX segment, when one was in Hampton, one was in Virginia Beach, and DX took the tank over there. That's a great segment.
Yeah,
that was great. That helped.
Yeah, that helped them to win that part. And another group. You guys remember the Brood?
Oh, yes.
Edge, Christian, and
Gangrel.
It was short-lived.
Yeah, it was short-lived because you also that faction would have been great 5 years earlier,
right?
When it was still real gimmicky.
Yeah. Yes.
But the time that they tried to make that and kind of push that on people, that's when Stone Cold was flipping everybody off and the Attitude Era started, and they kind of got away from other than Undertaker and the Ministry of Darkness. And of course, and I think they got in that, didn't they?
I think Gangrel was actually part of that.
He was, but Edge and Christian stayed together because that's another good tag team we didn't think about. They were so and Edge and both of them split off. Christian had more success in the smaller promotions.
Yes.
Edge obviously became a superstar, and his story coming back from a broken neck is unreal. And he lives in Asheville, North Carolina, which is even cooler about the guy. But they kind of stayed together and kind of kept that thing going. And lately, I know you all have seen that he's kind of been doing the Brood entrance coming up, which is awesome.
Did you see that they're actually there's a little rumor that Gangrel is going to play a part in him and Finn Balor WrestleMania.
Ooh, yeah, because Finn Balor's breaking out the demon, right?
Yeah.
And also Gangrel was married to Luna Vachon. You got to give him a.
Oh man, that one was crazy.
Yeah, that Dark Side of the Ring was nuts.
Yeah.
So any other Dusty? Any other groups we didn't think about?
No,
Dusty?
I mean, not really. None that just really just get me.
Okay. All right. Well, coming up next, guys, we're going to be talking about the best talkers and the best in-ring performers in wrestling history. That's next here on X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue.
Flooring sets the tone throughout your home.
For flooring that makes the right first impression, start by choosing us, Floored by Justin.
A one-stop flooring destination. Our new location stands alone for unequaled customer service and selection. Owner Justin Story's mastery of custom hardwood inlays means every room can have a custom look. Discover how the right choice of hardwood, laminate, carpet, or tile can set the tone in your home. Contact Floored by Justin today.
Whether it's popcorn, biscuits, or automotive, you need the right ingredients to achieve the best results. Heritage Automotive is proud to serve our community with a continually growing inventory. We also help our community grow by contributing to a vibrant economy, which helps build schools. I'm Keith Durham, and I'm the General Manager here at Heritage Automotive, and it's my job to make sure that you're 100% satisfied. Heritage Automotive, your hometown Chevy, Buick, and GMC dealer.
This is the good life.
McMaster's Home Gallery, where you'll always get a special price every day. Shop their new showroom full of name-brand furniture, sofas, recliners, dining and bedroom suites, Serta bedding, lots of tables and chairs just to match your decor. McMaster's Home Gallery also has GE appliances. Stop by on Highway 43 in Loretto or call 853-6140.
Like you, our roots are in Lawrence County, providing banking for every stage of life since 1934. Lawrenceburg Federal Bank has been not just your bank, but also your friend, helping you with home loans, consumer and auto loans, and your everyday personal banking needs. Lawrenceburg Federal offers you a warm smile and personal experience, as well as the conveniences of modern-day online banking, mobile banking, and telebanking. Lawrenceburg Federal Bank, your neighbor and friend, located at 118 West Gain Street next to the courthouse.
Are you tired of missing out on family life just to be treated like another truck number? Since 1980, Southeast Carriers has been a family-operated business based in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Being family-owned ourselves, we understand the importance of family, which is why we value it above all else. With our large number of dedicated lanes and our friendly staff, we are able to evenly divide your home time with the amount of time you spend on the road. We offer multiple benefits with large company pay, all while keeping a small company environment. For more information, visit our website at southeastcarriers.com or check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
This is the X Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue. It's the wrestling show a couple days away from Wrestlemania at SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles, California. Next topic, guys, is going to be best talkers, best in-ring performers. We're going to start off with the talker side of it. So, Dusty, start with you. Who were some of the best promo makers in wrestling history?
John Cena.
He was great.
Yes, he was
I
really
think John
good.
Cena is number one. Number two for me is Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go to The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hogan. I think Hogan done a pretty good job, but his wasn't more in-ring. It was more just back behind the scenes
Right.
with Mean Gene.
Right.
And then I'm going away from the actual in-ring wrestler. And
Okay.
this was a manager for me. It was
Yeah.
Bobby the
Well,
Brain.
it's different. Yeah, that works. Yeah.
And Stone Cold was great with a microphone. And one that's not even he walked away, and that's CM Punk.
Right.
He was great.
Oh,
though.
he was so good.
He could backhand comment people, and it would just and it's like they didn't even know it. That's how great he was. That's about the time when he walked away. That's about the time I was just like, all right, I'm not even tuned
Well,
in
his
anymore.
wit was so good. Like no matter what you said to him, and it's still even before his whole thing in AEW. Even before then, he could his comebacks were so quick.
Jason Busby said his best talker was the Macho Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lakeisha Oliver says best talkers would be Dusty Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The American Dream. Braxton Best said DX.
Yeah.
I guess just as a whole.
Yeah.
Rock and Paul Heyman. Paul
Heyman's really
great.
good. Yeah.
I mean but Will said Bobby the Brain, and you didn't even put a best managers deal on there. I think it's a.
Well, I'm saving that for another wrestling show.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well,
it's okay.
Bobby the Brain. I mean,
but if we're going to go managers talking, Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Oh, he could eviscerate people.
But my best. He touched on all three. I think in whatever order you want to put them in. Rock. To me, it's Rock one. And I know he wrote most of his stuff, but you still have to go out there and remember it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Austin was great, but Flair, the limousine riding,
jet flying.
He was the first one that did those promos.
Right.
Cena can hold his own with anybody, and he did it for about 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
pretty much single-handedly.
Yeah.
Yes. He single-handedly carried that company by himself.
Yeah. He did. He did. So those three, and I'll go with Busby, Macho Man. He was pretty great, especially when they did the promos before the matches. And you'd say, "Let's take it to Mean Gene."
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, his were great. I mean, sometimes they were hilarious, sometimes they were intense, but he was great.
My favorite promo of his, and I know the backstory to it, where they just gave him some coffee creamers. Go, hey, cut a promo with these, and he goes, "You know what, President Jack Tunney? I'm going to be the cream, because the cream rises to the top." Yeah. My gosh, it's so good. There's two on here that I don't know if anyone else thought of or mentioned. Vince McMahon is a really good promo.
He is.
Wow. He's really because he plays that boss thing so stinking well.
He's a great heel promos that he would cut.
He's a pretty good promo, and Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
The fact that he just came that psychological, he could stare in that camera
his voice would never get above about this high.
He never rose, and I mean it was like the most heart-piercing, blood-pumping. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's a psycho. Like it's a psycho with a cobra and a python. It's like the worst combination of all the things.
And Sting's one of my greatest of all time, and he was never a really big promo guy.
Right.
But if you ever watched any TNA. When he turned into Joker Sting, he cut some great stuff.
Yeah.
They just kind of let him loose and let him do what he wanted. He turned into Joker Sting. That was great. And I know a lot of people didn't watch TNA, but he was great in it.
Yeah. Those were all good. I don't think we've missed any because I think we've kind of hit the top. We hit Mission Dusty. Hogan's promos were kind of almost the same thing all the time. But once he turned Hollywood Hogan, and he really turned it on. Yeah, I didn't write him down, but you can certainly say Hogan is definitely there.
There was one I was going to put, and he didn't have like long conversations. His were always done in the ring, and it was always towards like he would say something about the wrestler he was facing, and then it would be something in the stands, and that was Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah.
He always had to talk about somebody.
Right. Well, let's now go to best in-ring performers. So, Dusty, who you got?
My number one's Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Number two for me is going to
just set it down over here. He'll go.
He'll get it.
Right there. You're good.
Yeah, you got to show off that food.
You're good. Shawn Michaels is number two.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is number three. And then the one that I'm not supposed to say, but I have to just for the playing.
You got to say Benoit.
Got to.
The Wolverine was a bad man.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was.
in the ring too.
Yeah. Who you got, Clint?
I've got four that I can't put one above the other. Obviously, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin says he's greatest of all time in the ring.
Right.
Bret Hart, master technician. Tell me a bad Bret Hart match.
I can't. I was literally trying to think of one today, and maybe the one where Goldberg knocked him out, but that was still a good match after Goldberg knocked him out.
WrestleMania where Yokozuna cheated
but
and
he's
beat
still,
him, and they let Hogan come in. Which is
I mean, that was more Hogan than anything.
Macho Man.
Oh,
tell me a match that Macho Man did.
Him and Steamboat.
Entertain everybody.
Him and Steamboat at WrestleMania 3 is one of the greatest of all time.
And Ric Flair. I mean, Ric Flair. You can. I get it. You can only chop somebody so many times and suplex somebody, but I could watch it. I could make it just a cut list of Ric Flair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's a good thing about Ric Flair. Can you ever think of one Flair squash match that only went 3 minutes?
No.
He always made it look like you were going to
That's what I'm saying.
kill him.
You don't have
then he came back and won.
You don't have a Bret and Shawn 60-minute Iron Man match without Ric Flair, and Steamboat going an hour.
Well, what about Luger,
20 years before that?
Luger and Flair used to go 60 minutes every night. I mean, you'd watch all. I mean, you've seen all the old films, NWA and all that, in the early WCW days. But when it was NWA, I mean, Luger and Flair would go 60. Sting and Flair would go 60 to a draw.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's three that we haven't mentioned yet. I think Jeff Jarrett is a really good worker.
Well, Jeff Jarrett's very underrated just because not a lot of people. He never got huge, but Jeff Jarrett was a heck of a worker.
Yeah,
I'll throw another one that before he broke his neck, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Even back to the Stunning Steve days, and then even when he first turned into Stone Cold, before he broke his neck, he could do anything in the ring.
Well, speaking of bad necks, Kurt Angle. Can you think of a bad Kurt Angle match?
Kurt Angle, and man, you're talking about somebody that came in at the perfect time. Austin goes out, has his neck, Austin the second time, and he ends up in his rookie year winning the King of the Ring,
and the WWF Championship in less than a year.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started with Austin 316.
Yeah. I mean, his promos were kind of goofy, but like in a fun, goofy way. But his matches were always good. And one more, Mick Foley.
Yeah.
I mean, Mick Foley, for being the most out of shape looking wrestler in the history of wrestling.
Has some of the most memorable matches you'll ever
see. Stuff he would do to his stuff as Cactus Jack in WCW was great. And then all the stuff he did as Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love in WWE. I mean.
What about Cactus Jack ECW?
Oh.
When it was really hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah, he had him and all the stuff he did in Japan. Those crazy death matches that he had in Japan, those are some crazy ones.
Germany, when he comes back in the locker room, and Sting said, "Mick, I think you're missing an ear."
Yeah, or the hell,
bang bang.
Yeah,
that's all he said.
Yeah, Hell in the Cell, his tooth was up
up
through his nose.
Yeah.
People thought it was a burger. It was a tooth.
Yeah, I mean, I still go back to the I Quit match with The Rock.
Yeah,
handcuffed behind his back, 11 chair shots to the head.
Yeah. It was only supposed to be 5, and Dwayne made it 11, which is.
Mick wouldn't quit.
Yeah, because Mick knew how to sell it. Well, coming up next, guys, we're going to be talking gimmicks and controversies, the best and the worst. That's next here on X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue.
For the best at-home care in Lawrence County, the Summit at Home is the right company for you. We have a friendly staff over 25 that is trained, educated, and qualified to help with all your needs within your household. Our non-medical services include transportation, housework, dressing, and companionship. We are also covered by most long-term care providers. For more information, please call 931-762-2310.
There are now more ways to save at Quick Mart. Become a Quick Club member and easily earn rewards on qualifying purchases at Quick Mart convenience stores using the Quick Club app, available in the Apple App Store and Google Play. To save on fuel for work, use the Fuel Rewards Pro app to earn 5 cents a gallon on work fill-ups and redeem the savings for yourself. To get started, visit fuelrewards.com/pro or download the app in the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Hey, this is Phil Hooper. Get the look you want for your favorite school, church, or business with apparel from HD Ink Screen Printing in Leoma, Tennessee. Got a logo you need embroidered or screen printed? Let HD Ink give you the professional look that sets the bar in today's world. We do fundraisers and custom designed apparel and so much more. Call today, 931-201-2961, or come see us at our new shop located at 26 Ingram Road in Leoma. Remember, HD Ink for the look you want and the look you deserve.
Employee Resources Credit Union is an easy solution to banking, offering a personal, simple, yet modern way to bank. When you bank with ERCU, you are a shareholder, meaning you own a piece of the pie, and we make it easy with the convenience of digital banking, with service you won't find at another financial institution, including low to zero fees and incredible rates. We have the technology you need with the personal service you deserve, right here in your own neighborhood. Employee Resources Credit Union, not for profit, for service.
A local law firm respected throughout the state. Generations of clients have turned to Boston, Holt, and Durham since 1948. We assist individuals and businesses with their legal needs, including real estate, property closings, personal injury, employment discrimination, and family law. Our clients get the personal attention and convenience of a hometown law firm with the resources and ability to handle any case. Come see us at Boston, Holt, and Durham.
This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back here to X Sports Live on Hinies Barbecue. It's the wrestling show, just a couple days away from Wrestlemania. New subject, guys. Going to be gimmicks and controversies. First, we're going to start off with your favorite gimmicks of all time.
Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite gimmick of all time.
Well, it's the best of all time. I mean, it was a 30-year run, and he did change it. He tweaked it.
He did.
A few times. You know, he went to the biker,
And he changed his look. When he went back to the darkness, he didn't. He was still a little different. But yeah, the Undertaker for me is the best gimmick. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that was a good one. I mean, one of the top.
Well, that's one of the best. Is that, and it's also one of the worst. Him being a ringmaster.
Right. Oh God, so bad.
When they finally,
so bad.
When he comes in and he's just happy to be there, and he has to be, has Ted DiBiase talking for him because he's worried that Stone Cold can't do a promo.
Just silly to think now.
Yeah. So then you'd let him be what he wants to be, and what's amazing is how bad that could have turned into, because he was kind of told him what they're thinking. You saw the list of the names they sent him.
Sting McFrost. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Ice Dagger.
Yeah, Ice Dagger. Yeah.
And my two worst are from WCW. One of them is the Shockmaster.
Yeah.
And my second one may be worse than that in my book. And he went by the Yeti. He was the Mumby in the Dungeon of Doom.
Yes.
Lakeisha Oliver said her best is The Undertaker and worst is Shockmaster.
The Shockmaster's the funniest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
Let's see. I don't have. Somebody else put gimmicks. They do have controversies on here, but and honestly, Ric Flair's gimmick, it's still. I mean, you've got rappers writing songs about it to this day. On the Rolex wearing, limousine riding, jet flying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
But then he took that to his life.
Yeah, it's real life for him now. Yeah. Well, I've got Kane on there, playing off the Undertaker one.
Okay.
I mean, that's a really, really good gimmick.
And it's not one of our topics either, but probably the best debut ever to me is Kane.
Oh, absolutely.
That's got to be Kane. I mean, that's the best debut in my book.
Speaking of scary, I mean
the first time he walked down to the ring,
ripped that cage,
ripped that door off, and you got this. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, it was great.
The music.
I have the Ultimate Warrior, because you needed a psycho to play that, and Jim Hellwig was a psycho to play. Like, from Parts Unknown, talking the weirdest stuff ever, but like the running out to the ring. His wrestling was awful, but like he had the most exciting 3-minute matches you've ever seen in your life.
Well, and he would put on a show before the match started.
Yeah.
It was a great gimmick. To me, the best, Jim Cornette and Jim Ross talking about how they were trying to lure him back, and he's in the living room, and he's saying that, and finally Jim Ross says, Corny finally looked at me and he said, "What the hell's dextrosity?"
Dextrosity. And he had a different word for each letter, and none of them made any sense. Another one I loved, which is fun. It's back from the Territory days, and he came out, I believe, in the WCW. Ivan Koloff. He was a Minnesota guy, and they turned him into a Russian. And he lived that gimmick for the birth certificate for his daughter has Ivan Koloff from Lithuania on it. Like the dude, and he would literally, like, people would speak to him in Russian out in public, and he would just mumble and say something mean to him to get out of it.
Well, it's like Nikita Koloff. I mean, he's not Russian.
Right.
And I think he's actually some kind of, he was like some kind of minister. He had actually gotten into that, and he'd changed a lot of his stuff around.
Yeah. And also, Jake the Snake Roberts, because he hates snakes. And this dude had to travel around with the snake and stuff he would do with the snake and the mind games, like just playing into like the serpent, stalking his prey, that whole thing. I always loved Jake Roberts. Now, my worst gimmicks, we mentioned the Shockmaster. I thought Doink was the dumbest thing ever.
Oh, that's when the WWE is
so bad.
In the pits, though. I mean, that
was another one back in that day that I thought was just stupid.
There was a lot of dumb. Mantar was dumb.
The Repo Man.
The Goon.
T.L. Hopper.
Yeah.
Nails.
Yeah, Nails. Goon. The
well,
Goon.
Look at Kane. Look at.
I got Glenn Jacobs pre-Kane because he was Isaac Yankem.
And Ray Diesel.
Fake Diesel.
Yes.
And which is so bad. And then another one.
But that is when WWE was at its worst.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. And WCW wasn't much better.
No.
Now, speaking of, one of my all-time least favorite gimmicks was Vince Russo trying to be Vince McMahon in WCW.
Yep.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they were already
coming out
going
with hockey pads and actually winning the belt, and and that's you could kind of see it going anyways, but it got there.
Yeah, it wasn't good, and no one wanted to see him, and it just wasn't good. So now to one that's probably going to take up a good amount of time. What are some of your all's? Well, I don't want to say favorite controversies, but what do you guys think are the biggest controversies?
All right, for me, we talked about it the other night a little bit, and the Montreal screw job I think was big. Undertaker's streak.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was some controversy about that. Was it really time for it?
Well, and I don't know how you don't let him decide.
Right.
Yes.
Because he would have wanted Kane to do it. He said it on the documentary that they just did about it.
Yeah.
He wanted, if he was going to lose it, he wanted Kane to get it.
Right. Yeah. Not Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Not at that point.
Time,
Yeah.
And I think, it doesn't ever get talked about now anymore. And it happened live, and that was Owen's death.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great one, Dusty.
What a comedy of errors that was.
I mean, it's so sad.
Yeah.
It just, that was one for me, and I got a couple more, but I'll let Clint go.
Well, no, go ahead.
No.
I've got.
Yeah. You put down two that I didn't even put down. So.
And another one was the Benoit murder deal. That was just so much. But my last one is when CM Punk walked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he had the, he had the company on his shoulders. He hadn't seen him.
And they sent him the letters through FedEx on his wedding day.
Yes.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Yeah. Mine, obviously, the biggest is Montreal screw job.
Yeah.
My biggest that still to this day makes me want to slap Eric Bischoff is how did you screw up Starrcade 97? You have been working it for a year for Sting to rise up, beat the NWO. It's at your WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Starrcade was your WrestleMania. You had taken over. You were ahead of WWE.
Yeah.
All you got to do, who me and you like to listen to, and I think you do too, Conrad
Thompson.
Thompson like said to Eric Bischoff, all you had to do was not screw it up. 1, 2, 3, Sting wins. It's what everybody and their mother is paying to get.
Yes.
But you had one guy that said, that doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah.
And
yeah. He wasn't Tam, like hanging out in the rafters for 18 months.
The whole thing was Sting had a lot going on. Well, a lot of wrestlers got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have a tan. How you going to get tan hanging up in the rafters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't have a workout anytime.
But here's the other thing. You still put the belt on it.
You
just screwed it up how you did it.
The finish
You're
was
supposed to have a fast count. That's why Bret Hart was supposed to come in, restart it, Sting win it. Well, Nick Patrick.
Oh.
And he's actually on an 83 Weeks episode with a watch-along that I haven't watched yet with Conrad Thompson. And he's explaining his side of it. So I want to hear that.
And the match was pretty much a squash. Because Sting got no offense in that.
No.
Well, and if that was bad, it was even worse the next
night. Yeah.
Well, not the next night, but the next
pay-per-view. Yeah.
I mean, he lost the whole, and then just won at the very end.
Yeah.
So that's where that's where Ted Turner should have stepped in and said, "Look, I'll pay him whatever he wants, but I'm not giving him creative control."
Right. Yeah.
And because Hogan, as much great as he's done for the business,
he's done a lot of bad.
He's done a
lot of bad. So I've got a few that haven't been mentioned. So I've got the brawl out from AEW this past CM Punk. Speaking of, and that whole thing with the Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, and you really don't know who to believe. Right. One side says, well, they can't talk about it because of legal, but no lawsuit's been filed, and now CM Punk is coming out and saying a few things about what was kind of going down about that. So they keep saying, well, no one's ever going to know. Yeah, right. It's CM Punk. At some point, we're going to know what went down with that.
He's got foot and mouth disease.
Yeah. He's never shy on opinions. Did or did not Jimmy Snuka murder that woman?
I think consensus is yes.
Yes. That's kind of like that's the OJ of wrestling right now. I think we're all in agreement that Jimmy Snuka murdered her. The plane ride from hell and everything that went down, and that's kind of solely.
Just hearing Jim Ross describe that on that episode of Dark Side, you know, he can't even hold his head up. There's so many times in that episode he just goes, I don't know what we were thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what we were thinking.
And I've listened to him live at Zany's.
Yeah.
And that was brought up. And to hear him live and talk about that, I mean, he's guys, he said, we missed this one.
Yeah.
And I had one more, but it's Austin walking away.
Yes.
And, you know, he was kind of getting a little burnout, and I get that, but they wanted him to lose to Brock Lesnar on a Monday Night Raw.
Free TV.
If Brock Lesnar's your next big guy, which he turned out to be.
Yeah.
You know, when he came back from UFC. Why would you give that away for free with Stone Cold?
Yeah. I don't know. That was didn't make sense.
And then you have The Rock come out and do a promo against Austin. He wants to take his ball and go home.
Yeah.
You know, McMahon comes out and he just made your lifestyle what it was.
Yeah.
His run made your lifestyle what it was. And I get it. He probably, you know, but hearing Jim Ross tell that story is he just had to get those two in a room. And they kind of squashed it for a little bit. Austin went on to have that match with Rock where he returned the favors and finally lost to Rock at WrestleMania, and he retired on it. And so, but that should have never happened.
No.
He could have had a good another year and a half run that got squashed because of creative. And like we'd said, when WCW went under, WWE got stale.
Yeah.
Because you had no competition.
Yeah.
You had nothing you had to try to beat.
They couldn't mess up.
Yeah.
Water, please.
So some other ones I've got here. There's the whole Macho Man Miss Elizabeth thing.
Well, that's a storyline controversy. And I didn't know if we were doing real life or.
But yeah, it kind of blended in the real life. And speaking of the Edge, Matt Hardy, Lita situation that turned into.
That was too hot for TV, and that was a real life storyline that they turned into a storyline.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then speaking of bad WCW decisions, the finger poke of doom when they literally. I think you would say that the Monday Night War was over that night. They had 45,000 people in the Georgia Dome, and their idea of a main event is poke Kevin Nash, pin him. Yeah, and then Goldberg comes out. He beats up a few guys, and you handcuff him, beat him up, and spray paint him. That's your main event in front of 45,000 people in a dome.
In a dome, yeah.
Just. They thought they can get away with anything, and then they found out, year and a half later, they couldn't get away with anything.
And honestly, they should. They had the best talent. Honestly, if you look at their roster compared to WWE,
that's hands down.
And no comparison. It was the biggest there was.
Well, the NWO had 30 members.
Yeah, which is, that's the problem with the NWO. One thing that DX had on the NWO is DX never got too big. NWO got way too big.
And then they branched off, and you had
like
the Wolfpack,
5
and
different
then you had the
factions.
Latino, whatever.
Yeah, if you ever missed a week in Nitro and came back, you'd be like, wait a minute, when did the Giant get in NWO?
Yeah.
Or, wait a minute, Dusty Rhodes in NWO now?
Gosh, man, that was heartbreaking when Dusty Rhodes joined
And then
NWO.
Ted DiBiase and, Rick Rude, it was all kinds of things. So coming up next, guys, we're going to get into some really good ones here. Best matches, best storylines. It's coming up next here on X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue.
Got a dent, a ding, a scratch, or a bent fender? Major or minor, Car Country Collision Center in Leoma can fix you up. Car Country works with all insurance carriers, gives free estimates, can work on foreign and domestic vehicles, and has experience you can trust. They've been in business since 1990. Unfortunately, accidents happen, but you can get your car back on the road with as little hassle as possible with the help of Car Country. Call 931-852-4708 or stop by at 2567 Highway 43 South in Leoma.
Are you looking for a non-factory job environment? Livingstone Freight Solutions is a 3PL company that began managing warehouses in Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. With our multiple shifts and experienced management team, our goal is to give you, as an employee, a safe family work environment and competitive wages. We offer a wide variety of employment opportunities from forklift drivers to management level positions. We also strive to offer a competitive benefit package and PTO options. For more information or to apply, visit us at livingstonefs.com or give us a call at 931-269-3255.
Lawrenceburg Flooring and More is your premier source for hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl tile, sheet vinyl, residential and commercial carpet, carpet tiles, ceramic and porcelain tile, waterproof floating floor, plus blinds and shutters. Lawrenceburg Flooring and More is also home to all name brands and can tackle projects big and small. Installation? You're covered with installers who've got years of experience and stand behind their work. Let Lawrenceburg Flooring and More make your design dreams a reality. 2760 Highway 43 North, or visit lawrenceburgflooringandmore.com.
Arctic Air keeps your home or business comfortable. For more than 20 years, we've provided outstanding residential and commercial services through Southern Middle Tennessee. Whether you need assistance with your heat, air conditioning, preventive maintenance, or anything in between, trust our reliable team to get the job done. We'll take the time to figure out your specific needs and recommend what we believe is right and best for your situation.
We've been using Arctic Air for over 15 years now. Their service is great, they're here when we need them, and their prices are competitive. They take the worry out of the heat and air so I don't have to.
Arctic Air, when you need us, we'll be there.
This is the X Sports Network.
Show might be over. Do it like a podcast?
Yeah, we kind of do it like a podcast. Here.
Well, it's showing we're live. I don't know if you can hear me on it.
Once now it's got us. I can, yeah. Well, once got us here. I don't know why it's not showing up on the screen. Oh, I know why. Well, that was stupid on my part. Here we are, back on X Sports Live.
You idiot.
Yeah,
I don't know what you did.
Yeah.
I don't either. What
It's
really didn't do.
It's what I didn't do. So sorry for about that 5 minutes of stupidity on my part. All right, guys, best matches. What do you all got?
Let me give some shout outs. Jason Busby, and this may be Katie. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Katie, but because they're Jason and Katie Busby, so that means you know where he carries his around in a purse.
Yeah.
But he's got his best matches. He's got 3: Hell in a Cell, Warrior and Hogan, WrestleMania 6, and Macho Man and Steamboat, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Will Pettis got Hulk and Andre, WrestleMania 3.
That's a great one.
Which is pretty much what made WrestleMania what it is. Let's see, Lakeisha Oliver, her best matches are Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, the first Hell in a Cell match.
That was really good,
great.
yeah.
Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. Braxton Best has Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 31.
That was a good one.
He's got the streak ending as one of his. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. And Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudleys, which was a great tag team match.
I think the second one was the best.
Yes.
No, the first one, they're both similar, but I think the second one
it
was the
says
best.
WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
So that is the second one.
So what you got, Dusty?
All right. WrestleMania 10, Brett versus Owen.
Yeah, that opened the show.
That opened the show.
That was really good.
Somebody touched on the Steamboat Savage Next one for me was Stone Cold and Bret at WrestleMania 13. WrestleMania 28 was Taker versus Triple H with Shawn as the guest referee inside Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And, you know, Shawn kicked his head off. I mean, the whole nine. And then what was cool is at the end of it, they're at the ramp. And I think that was the point when Triple H said, you know what, I'm tipping my hat to you.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go on forever, but that's my list.
WrestleMania 13, Austin, and the double turn, it to me is the greatest match of all time. That's my favorite, and I think it's the greatest match. I think it's the great. If you watch a wrestling match start to finish, you do a double turn, and that's where that rocket ship just started going nuts.
Right.
Austin 316. He'd already won King of the Ring, you know, and he'd already won Royal Rumble. But that's when it went nuts.
Through the
And Stone Cold Steve Austin's day will credit it to Bret Hart. Made his career. He said, he said, I don't know where my career would be if a year before Bret Hart went to the WCW.
Right.
Or that match didn't happen.
Right.
Another one of my favorites, Sting's one of my all-time favorites. The first time he won the belt, Great American Bash. Against Ric Flair. I mean, that was huge. Hulk and Andre. I mean, probably one of the worst matches of all time.
Oh, yeah.
But what it meant.
But
in the long
just to
run.
hear the Andre documentary and
him telling him slamming.
And not so much just hearing it from Hulk, because you don't know how much you can really believe what Hulk Hogan says.
Yeah.
But to hear everybody else say it that pretty much lined up with what Hogan was saying, that he just kind of had to work around with what Andre could do and still put on a great show. And Andre not letting him know until the match what we were going to do. And that's what kind of turned wrestling for me. And Austin, Rock, WrestleMania 17. I get it. The end of it, after the match was over, was awful because for whatever reason I was okay with them turning Austin heel.
Yeah.
Because he was never really a good guy anyway.
No, he never was.
But you don't partner him up with McMahon.
No.
That was where everything went awful.
Yeah.
But that match of Austin literally beating him to death with that chair and the Rock, keep counting out, and Austin's got blood all over him, and he's just getting more, every time he kicks out, he gets more mad, and you can just feel it out of him. And he stands up, buffs himself up, and then he just starts playing. I mean, that was one of that Austin's in my top two, and one's with Bret and the other one's with Rock.
Yeah. So for me, I've got the first ever ladder match, Razor and Shawn Michaels.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah. I mean,
Intercontinental title match.
Yeah, I mean, and I went back and watched it today. It's good to watch a ladder match where people actually focus on getting the belt instead of doing spots off of a ladder. So that one was good. I mean, TLC 2. I mean, I will always love the image of Edge spearing Jeff Hardy off of the belt. I mean, how they didn't break a neck, but they perfectly timed that move. Was great. Hogan, Andre, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 14. That was a really good match.
It wasn't the best match it could have been because Michaels was
hurt. But they got a lot out of it.
They did get a lot.
And they got Mike Tyson to turn, which was
probably
really
would have been
good.
a better ending if Mike Tyson knocks Michaels out and he doesn't show him there chewing gum.
Yeah.
Because he was in a bad spot at that time.
Also, obviously, Hell in the Cell, Taker, Mankind, Cena Punk, and Money in the Bank. When CM Punk literally signed his contract extension that day and no one knew what was going on, maybe one of the hottest crowds ever in wrestling history. I mean, CM Punk, and they put on a show. Like at one point, you thought like Cena's going to win this and they're going to riot and burn down the place.
Yes.
But Punk came back and won. That one was really good. The greatest Royal Rumble ever, 92.
Oh, yeah.
That one was really – they have the whole thing on YouTube, which was really good.
Sid Vicious.
Yeah. Obviously, Bret, Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13. Hogan Rock from WrestleMania – was it WrestleMania 18 in Toronto?
19.
Yeah, 19 in Toronto. Hogan Rock.
Yeah, because it was Cena.
It was 18.
It was
18,
That's
yeah.
right, 16, 17 was
when,
Cena Rock.
When pretty much they took over, the crowd flipped the match, and the way Hogan and Rock flipped on the fly and how good of a match that was really good. I thought Goldberg-Hogan, when Goldberg first won the belt.
If you're going to do
if you're gonna give that thing away for free, they did it right at the
Yeah,
Georgia Dome.
yeah, because he
Nitro.
beat Scott Hall earlier in the night. And then they did it at the Georgia Dome. You know, former Georgia Bulldog comes out and does it. That one was awesome. And then when Luger beat Hogan on Nitro, got him in that press, and everyone came out. That crowd was hot. I mean, that's just a few that kind of rang in my head.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we have one more before we go to break?
No, we got no more
Storylines.
storylines.
So we had storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of mine was the Mega Powers Explode. It was a great storyline. This one right here, this was done. This may be one of Vince's good ones because of the time frame, but also bad. That was a Sergeant Slaughter Hogan when he was the Iranian.
Yes.
Sympathizer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
you know, he had the Sheik.
And you had Desert Storm going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You had Desert Storm
They
going
blurred the
on.
lines a little too much on that one.
They did. This one ended up being real life, and this was TNA, but it was Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Angle.
Oh, yeah.
Carrie, you know, and she leaves Kurt and goes with Jeff. Austin McMahon. You know, we'll never forget that one. And then when NWO took over ECW.
NWO took over WCW.
Or WCW.
Yeah.
Well, I've got two, and one is McMahon Austin. That put WWF ahead of WCW, and that you had to tune in every Monday, and then when SmackDown came on, you had to tune in every Monday and Thursday to see what Austin was going to do to McMahon, or how McMahon was going to screw him over.
Yep.
But my second was, it wasn't so much the NWO, but it was Sting saying, all right, only thing sure about Sting, nothing's for sure. And he walks out, and then they start showing him in the rafters, and they build that up for, we have already talked about
18 months.
They screwed it up.
Yes.
That, you know, he still got the belt or whatever. But that whole storyline, you had to tune in to Nitro to see when Sting come down. Is Sting come down from the rafters? Is he in the crowd? Wait, is that Sting? You know, because they were trying to do the thing. That was a great. So those are by far my top two.
Yeah. I've got Stone Cold Rock, because that one played out over years, and the way they always built
headline 3 WrestleManias every other year,
and the way they built up those, like, you know, Stone Cold on the beer truck was awesome. You remember they were a tag team champions at one point before the WrestleMania match. That was a good one. Cena Rock, which we saw the Rivals on that one. They only had a couple matches, but that was real.
No, they took 2 years to build it up. Though.
And Cena egged on Rock, which, you know, poked the bear, and he poked him in a big way. We mentioned NWO, WCW. Flair versus Eric Bischoff, which was real.
Oh, yeah. He hated it.
Yeah. That was, remember when he made that big comeback, and, you know, everyone was in tuxedos and all over because he wanted to see his son in a wrestling tournament and God knows where. The Edge Lita Matt Hardy story, which was real life. And they turned it, you know, they made money, you know, money makes, you know, real life problems make money, pal, you know, all that stuff. I thought Goldberg versus the NWO was good. It wasn't as good as Sting. They didn't build it up as long because Goldberg was inexperienced.
They didn't have time to build it up because once Goldberg, they figured out what they had with him. They just had to get him out there.
Right.
You know?
Dusty versus Flair, and that one built up over several years. That was,
that was a good one.
Hogan Warrior. Like the two good guys, that's as good as you're going to get out of a match between two baby faces. You know, as good as a build-up.
And I love, you know, Warrior, about 5 minutes in, just blown up.
Yeah.
Let's go home. Let's just go home. Let's do the finish.
Hogan's like, no, we got to go 20 more minutes.
We got to go 20 more minutes. Calm down.
And then the final one I have, and it's probably the best other than the Bloodline, the Daniel Bryan versus the Authority story angle. Where the fans pretty much determined who was going to win WrestleMania because he wasn't in the plans. Remember, he didn't win the Rumble.
Yeah.
No.
It was Triple H that won the Rumble, or was Batista? Or was it Batista that won the Rumble against Randy Orton? They turned it into a triple threat match. I mean, and the fans were pretty much going to boycott WrestleMania unless Daniel Bryan was there. And then the triple threat match, which I went back and watched that today. That one was as good as I'm not a big fan of triple threat matches. I think they just get too much at times, but that's as good as you're going to get out of a triple threat match. You guys got any others? Or
Let's see.
Yeah, let's go.
Braxton Best says Cena versus the Nexus.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Lakeisha Oliver says her best. Let's see. Her best storyline was WCW Buyout was one of the good ones. Shawn Michaels, Flair in the retirement at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Let's see. Will doesn't have a storyline. Busby has his storyline to Stone Cold McMahon. I think that's that's a good 6-year storyline.
Yeah, and there's some ones from the territories, but we'd be really going down the rabbit hole if we did
Andre
that.
Hogan. When he ripped the cross off of the Piper's Pit.
Yeah.
Hogan rubs icy hot. In his
Yeah,
eyes
he's
so
doing
so
this
he
while
get real
Andre's
tears.
shaking. That was a good
we
one.
got to see the contract signing, with Jack Tunney sitting at the
Piper
table.
Pit.
Yeah, Piper's Pit.
Yeah,
That's what it was,
Yeah.
Well, the actual contract signing.
Oh,
was
yeah.
it was
You know who we didn't mention as one of the greatest talkers of all time?
Rowdy.
Piper.
Wow, we had let him slip.
Yeah. He was a good in-ring worker too, but Piper was maybe one of the greatest talkers of all time. Just when you have the answers, I change the questions.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so good. Well, coming up next, we might finally start to have some disagreements. We're going to have our own personal Mount Rushmores and who should really be in the Mount Rushmores. That's coming up next here on X Sports Live from Hinies Barbecue.
Great food is just a short drive to Hinies Barbecue in Lawrenceburg. Mouth-watering is just one way to describe the amazing flavors of the best piece of Heine in town when you dig into a plate of pulled pork, hand-chopped brisket, chicken, wood-fire oven pizzas, and the menu goes on. Wash it all down with a swig of Heine Shine lemonade and then make your way over to the gift shop full of Heine sauces, snacks, and more. Heine's Barbecue, Highway 43 North in Lawrenceburg. Introducing Cloud9 Fiber to Lawrenceburg. We take great pride in being the only locally owned and operated internet company within Lawrenceburg and Lawrence County. We're now offering up to gigabit services with plans starting at $50 per month. Surf the internet with blazing fast speeds and reliability, all while keeping your investment within Lawrence County. For more information, visit cloud9fiber.com to request for us to build your area next. Southern Tennessee Orthopedics welcomes orthopedic surgeon Dr. Paul Thomas. Count on Dr. Paul Thomas, podiatrist Dr. James Barksdale, and nurse practitioner Doug Ead at Southern Tennessee Orthopedics to keep your life in motion. Injuries and foot pain can rob you of the activities you enjoy most. So our team is here, close to home, to address the pain and to get you moving again. Southern Tennessee Orthopedics. From the routine to the unforeseen, you can count on us. To learn more, visit southerntennesseemedicalgroup.com or to schedule an appointment, call 931-762-4400. Are you looking for the perfect refrigerator? What about a new stove or washer or dryer? It only makes sense to shop at the one place that specializes in appliances, top to bottom, big or small. And that's Kelly Appliance in Lawrenceburg. Kelly Appliance is home to all major name brands, including LG. LG makes life good with a full selection of refrigerators, cooking appliances, dishwashers, microwaves, and more, including appliances made right here in Tennessee. Family owned and family operated. Stop by Kelly Appliance on Jerry Street in Lawrenceburg today.
This is the X Sports Network.
All right, guys, welcome back to X Sports Live here from Hinies Barbecue. We're talking Mount Rushmores, our own personal ones, and who we think should really be in the all-time Mount Rushmore. But first, Clint, let's start with what our fans said on our Facebook page today.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Well, okay, Braxton Best says his personal Mount Rushmore, Triple H, Undertaker, Rock, and Roman Reigns. Let's see. Lakeisha Oliver, she says personal Mount Rushmore, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Undertaker, and Bret Hart are her personal top 5. Will Pettis, Hulk Andre, Flair, and Undertaker. And Jason Busby says Ric Flair, Hogan, Macho Man, Undertaker, and Stone Cold. And there's going to be some that's going to be on on everybody's list.
Yeah.
My
I'm just going to do 4 for
Okay.
Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
My 4 favorite. It had to be basically my 4 favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
All right. In this order: Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Okay.
Sting, Hulk Hogan, and Bret Hart. Those are my top 4.
Okay.
Mount Rushmore. If I get to pick who I want, that's my Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Now that's not who I think you got to put some other guys ahead of some other guys.
Yeah.
But those are my 4 favorite wrestlers of all time.
What you got, Dustin?
All right, Hogan, of course, is my number 1.
Okay.
Taker, Triple H, and John Cena. I just think what John Cena done for wrestling for
20-year run, man.
20-year run. You know, at the time he put it on his shoulders. And
you really like Triple H more than you like Stone Cold?
Man, I'm a Triple H fan.
It's what you
maybe it's because I just know too much about what he did behind the scenes, but
you go back and watch that return he had.
at Madison Square Garden.
Hated him.
Yeah.
And that was one of the loudest. That was a Stone Cold pop.
Yeah.
He came back.
When he come back,
that was huge.
that was a storyline we didn't talk about. Was the Triple H Shawn?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole sledgehammer with the wheelchair deal and all that. I just feel like Triple H. I think so many people look at him now as the boss,
right?
And how he got there,
how he got there. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just, I put him there, and of course, that's my 4.
Okay.
And then, of course, then we'll talk later about the others. But
So my 4 in order, we're going to go Bret Hart because I loved him growing up. I had dreams of him putting the pink shades on me. I dressed up as him twice for Halloween.
There you go.
I literally went around to people with my bucket of candy and did the whole jacket thing. Like, come on, you got to give me candy. I'm going to put you in the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
You know, the excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And his heel turn, when he became a heel, was really good.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good promo guy, but his heel turn was really good. Stone Cold, I mean, not much to say. I mean, the guy was so good talker, good worker, even a better dude now in real life, maybe at certain parts.
Well, yeah, let you touch on that.
Yeah.
He's one of those, me and you and Dusty, we all listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts.
Yeah.
He's really the one guy that you don't hear people say anything bad about.
Yeah.
No.
Good to work with, he supported other wrestlers.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean, he made some mistakes in his personal life, but who hasn't?
Tell me anybody that lived that lifestyle, especially at the top of it, that's not.
Yeah, exactly. I've got The Rock in there because I think the way The Rock could talk, his matches maybe not the best, but the way he could talk, the way he could sell a match with anybody, and just the way he would work, just the lead. I mean, the build-up, no one could build a match better than The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
And
he was so good at it.
With Stone Cold
Yeah.
Steve Austin.
Yeah.
He had to do it with, that would be like if Hogan, let's say if Hogan didn't have that competition.
Right.
That's what, to me, that's what made Austin and Rock as good as they were.
Yeah.
Because they kept trying to outdo each other.
Yeah. And then I made an audible. I did originally have Randy Savage there, but the more I thought about it, I wasn't a fan of his WCW run.
No.
I think that sullied him a lot. You could probably say the same about Bret Hart, but that was more on Eric Bischoff than what that was on Bret Hart. He still had good matches, but I think Savage just was way too much in not a good way in WCW. I put The Undertaker there because of the longevity, the way his character evolved. Dead man, didn't talk, to the motorcycle guy that did talk. His matches, for the most part, were good. He got himself back in shape, the longevity.
He took care of people.
Took care of people.
Yeah, he did.
And locker room leader, all the things, like not just a good wrestler to look at, but just a good overall person.
Well,
I mean, not that we need to judge my morals. But
Well, we touched on Shawn Michaels. I think probably the worst human being in that little stint there.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much letting the locker room know he's not doing the favors for Stone Cold.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 14.
Until the Undertaker came
Undertaker's
around.
out there, gorilla, wrapping up them knuckles, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was going to use
Yeah. I mean, who was the first person after the screw job and he made Vince McMahon go talk to Bret.
Yeah.
He literally made the boss go get knocked out by the guy.
That's what he said. He said if he gives you one, you owe
Take
him
it.
one.
Yeah, you owe him one. And Undertaker's just, the more I thought about him, like, he had some great memorable matches. and a good overall dude, and really a leader that anyone can look up to. Okay, so here we go.
Anybody that if you haven't watched, if you don't watch the Broken Skull sessions, you need to watch. He's actually he's on two
of them, and they're really good.
Both of those, just to hear him tell stories, and it's great.
So, okay, guys, now the overall Mount Rushmore, taking our personal feelings aside, who do you think should be on there?
Hogan, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Going by fan base, I'll put Ric Flair there,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'd be Stone Cold.
What do you think, Clint?
Mine are. I've got 3 of those, and in order from 4 to 1. I've got Undertaker instead of Andre.
Okay.
I've got Undertaker instead of. You can't have a 30-year career and do as much as he has, and help as many people as he has, and stayed in one spot and helped that business as much as he had. To be, we just talked about it. Undertaker's 4, Ric Flair's 3, to me. 17-time world champion. He's the one that taught people how to talk smack. If he had just started in the mid-90s before Austin and all that, when being a good guy could be bad guy could be cool.
Yeah.
There's no telling. He might be bigger than he is now.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But everything he did and every territory, he was the best in every territory he would go to back in the 70s and 80s. 2, and this is tough because he's my all-time favorite wrestler, but 2 is the Texas Rattlesnake, just because his run was so short at the top. He did some great things at WCW, but his run was so short because of a bad neck and health problems and things like that he was really just about a 6-year run. But I promise you, nobody did more in 20, 30-year careers than he did.
He squeezed it all into a 6-year period.
Yeah, and I mean, and like you said, he burnt the candle at both ends, and he did burn himself out, and he was just hurt and things like that.
He couldn't hardly walk.
Yeah. But tell me anybody to this day who's been out of it as long as he has that gets a bigger pop than he does.
Anywhere,
if he
anytime.
went on Nitro this Monday, if he makes an appearance this weekend,
place will go.
It's going to go
nuts.
But I've got to put Hogan at 1.
Yeah.
Because he was the best baby face of the 80s, and he made wrestling what it was. But he also might be the best heel
in the 90s.
Of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that one night.
He really might.
That one night changed it all.
And so, it's kind of 1A, 1B, but you got to give him the nod to it because he was the first superstar to me. Flair was a territory guy, and if you didn't watch local programming wrestling or if you didn't go to shows, you didn't know Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Well, the 80s come along, Vince McMahon turned that thing into a giant. Everybody in the world knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah.
And he ran that until he couldn't run it anymore through WWF, went to WCW, tried that gimmick for a little bit, but then they talked him into turning heel. And he was the best heel for a 6-7 year run.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions. I've got Sting in there because
Sting will definitely be one of mine.
Longevity was really good.
Sting was just too nice of a guy.
Yeah.
He was just too nice of a guy because I feel like he must really be, you hear a lot of people saying he's going to live that Christian life.
Yeah.
Sting really must do it and turn the other cheek because he got screwed over more than any person.
No kidding.
Just look at him when he finally decides to come to the WWF.
Yeah. Short run. His return was great. Yeah. In the worst possible way, and they had way too many run-ins, and it was. I mean, I know they're doing the nostalgia thing, but they had a bunch of guys who can't move coming in and making run-ins.
If you're going to get people to run in,
I
don't know if WWE knows, but Sting didn't get along with NWO. He wouldn't have wanted their help.
Yeah, exactly.
He was probably standing in the ring in the picture behind Triple H going, God.
Going really old school. I mean, the beginning of wrestling, Bruno Sammartino and the impact that he had. Speaking of nice guys, Mick Foley. I mean, some of the most iconic matches and probably the nicest guy ever in the history of wrestling. I got Kurt Angle in there because not many guys can step into that and be immediately respected, loved, good worker, turned into a really good talker, played heel well, played babyface well, all those things.
And he's doing well now, too, because he got it kind of in a bad way there at the end of that TNA run.
Right.
He did. Substance abuse.
He never knew. A lot of guys didn't need to go to TNA.
And wrestled way too many times.
I think TNA was bad.
Yeah, for a lot of guys.
For a lot of guys.
Yeah. Got Dusty in there, obviously. I might have thought about putting him in the top 4 or even the top 5, but just that WWE run was awful.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, and they.
The only thing good about that run was the theme song.
Yeah, American Dream theme song was good. Got Taker, not up there. I mean, some people can put him there. I completely understand that. So I do not have Ric Flair in my Mount Rushmore. Now, let me explain. I know this is controversial, but I think the last decade to 15 years has really kind of sullied me on Flair. We've seen how thin-skinned he is. His run in TNA was bad. That last match debacle down here in Nashville last year, I mean, I thought he was going to die on multiple occasions.
That was too much.
The guy just does not, I mean, he's getting in feuds with everybody.
And honestly, just watching him and listening to some of his podcasts, I don't know that he's not got a little bit of dementia.
Yeah, probably.
And he's kind of got that old age where it's a little senile, and somebody needs to talk Rick into taking his money, going on an island, and just be quiet.
Yeah,
and just enjoy it.
I'm with you. He just can't give.
Of course, he may not have any money.
Yeah, I mean, he's lived the gimmick for 50 years, and when he doesn't need to live the gimmick, and then, you know, some of the personal. I mean, we shouldn't bring personal life into the wrestling part of it, but just. I don't know if he's a good guy or not. Not that I'm saying honestly, morals need to be the part of it.
Mount Rushmore from the career-ending match against Shawn Michaels to everything before.
Yeah.
And
from there on, it's.
And the other thing is, if you ask any other wrestler, legend, who's your favorite, who's number 1 all time, about 90% of them say Ric Flair.
Yeah, his matches were great for the most part.
It up, and I thought you were going to go there. The whole Flair, Eric Bischoff thing.
Yeah.
When he's in the ring with Mean Gene,
start stripping.
He strips down and he handcuffs himself to the rope, and he's in his boxers.
Yeah.
And
such a great promo.
He said, if you go to a commercial, I'll be naked when you come back. You know, Ric Flair would have done it.
Yeah. So, and then, it's so hard. Like Flair, I've got Flair like 6'5", 4, kind of in that range. I've got John Cena at right there, like the 20. And for me, the top 4, if we're going to do a Mount Rushmore, because a Mount Rushmore has 4 guys that have transcended wrestling, gone into other things. And John Cena is right on the edge. He's a movie star now. I mean, he is the greatest, Make-A-Wish guy of all time.
520.
Of all time. And he puts his heart and soul into it. A genuine good guy, great talker. Maybe not the best worker. He's hilarious. Maybe not the best worker, but he has had some outstanding matches. But like 20 years, he held that company on his back. Not every match is going to be a banger.
It ought to tell you something when Austin leaves, Rock leaves, Lesnar goes to the
UFC world champion.
You say, oh, this is on me now?
Yeah,
and
he took it in, So my top 4, no particular order. Well, I guess I will go in order. We'll go Andre at 4 because you saw a guy that can transcend. Everywhere he went, he was the biggest star. Everyone knew him in every territory. And, I mean, he built up the storyline that took WWE to where it went. It took wrestling to where it went at WrestleMania 3.
Have y'all watched Tales from the Territories?
Yeah.
Every one of those territories, you knew if you got Andre, payday was going to be good.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
And that shows how big he was before he got, health problems.
And that, even though Flair was almost the same way, but he wasn't at that level as Andre was. Because, let's face it, Andre was an attraction.
You didn't have to be a wrestling fan to want to go watch
a 7-foot.
You wanted to go see it.
Yeah, you wanted to go see it.
He was bigger than life.
Yeah. And at one point in time, he could really, really work. Like, he had some really good matches.
10 years too late.
Right.
10 years too late from when wrestling really took off.
Yeah. Then, I guess going in at 3, we'll go to The Rock. Because, let's face it, he's a movie star, but people still think about The Rock as a wrestler, too. Mm-hmm. He had good matches. One of the great, probably the top 3, maybe if the top 2, maybe the best talker of all time. His longevity's not there, but we talk about, okay, what if The Rock shows up at WrestleMania? Mm-hmm. Like everyone was. I mean, you hear if you smell what The Rock is cooking, that place is going to go bananas.
And I think that in my mind as the fan, with this whole bloodline thing and Roman saying he's the head of the table, I'm the head chief. Like I'm telling you, I've been waiting on that music to hit.
Yeah, and it might hit. They've been saying he's not going to show up, which means he could be showing up. But like he's hosted SNL 3 times. I mean,
and hilarious every time.
Hilarious. Like his catchphrase video, like his best catchphrase is like 20 minutes long because he had, and I mean, he wrote them, but he had to execute it, and he executed it flawlessly every time. Number 2, we got to go Stone Cold because he led, him and The Rock led the most, if not the most popular, the second most popular stint in wrestling history, and literally him and Stone Cold and The Rock literally defeated probably WCW on their own.
Yeah, Austin pretty much had to do it by himself for about a year and a half.
And then The Rock came up and joined it. He took it
and then
to the next level.
Of those that you had something that you could tune in and say, well, Austin may not be on with The Rock, maybe.
Yeah.
And put WCW out of business, like you said.
And for The Rock to take that step, he was just this pretty boy, Rocky Maivia.
Die, Rocky, die.
Yeah.
And then, the nation was kind of iffy. And then all of a sudden, he just breaks into what he is.
Right. And obviously, number 1, and we've got him already. It's Hogan. He took wrestling to where it's literally never been since. He was the best babyface in the 80s. He was the best heel in the 90s. He was at the top of the sport when the sport was at its peak, both times. And Hulk Hogan was the reason why. And one thing with all 4 of these guys, they evolved their characters. Andre was a babyface for forever. Then he became a heel. How good was Andre as a heel? I mean, that whole going after Hogan. Then he had feuds with Jake the Snake. He had feuds with the Ultimate Warrior. And then he eventually beat up Bobby Heenan, which was good. The Rock had to evolve. Stone Cold as a heel was hilarious. He was funny as a babyface, but he could blur that line between babyface and heel because just when you thought, okay, him and Mankind are going to team up, he stuns Mankind because DTA don't trust anybody, that whole thing, and then the way Hogan could evolve, so. I know I'm the one on the outside. I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for not putting Flair there, but Flair. Flair was a territory legend, but the one thing that kind of pushed him away was, and Bruce Pritchard said it when he came to WWE in '92. No one knew who he was. Yeah. And in all we all 3 would watch both. I watched WCW on Saturdays, and
in the South you get WCW wrestling every Saturday morning.
Yeah, but
that doesn't mean people up north did.
Exactly. Everyone knew who Hogan was. And you guys said it earlier. Everyone knew who Hogan was, but not everyone knew who Flair was. So that's why Flair's, they got Woo etched on The Rock, but they don't have his face on the Mount Rushmore for me. But I still have him kind of 5A, 5B with Cena.
And I was the same way with Rock. I mean, it was hard not to put him in, and it was hard. Cena was right there with it too. So I think we were all right there. Who are definitely our top 6, 7.
Our top 6.
We're similar, but I'm sure I've got people waiting outside of my house. Man, you ain't got Flair up there in your Mount Rushmore.
You need to go back to West Virginia, boy.
Yeah.
Well, he came to West Virginia a lot, but actually, Mick Foley's first match ever was in Clarksburg, West Virginia. So one of the many reasons I like the guy.
Opening up Wrestlemania.
Yeah. All right.
I said that today.
Yeah. Well, he's fighting Austin Theory, right?
Theory for the title, U.S. title.
Yeah. All right, guys. You guys have fun tonight?
I did. Man, I wish I'd saw this earlier. Yeah. Will Pettis said, Jake Pettis is there if you have any questions on current wrestling. He never misses a SmackDown or Raw, so we could have got Jake in.
He came in there.
And
it's okay. We're going to do more wrestling shows. That's why I saved some of these topics for later. And we wish Cam could have been here tonight, but church pictures and all, you can't always miss that. So for Dusty Kaiser, Clint Brazier, I'm AJ Good here on X Sports Live. We'll see you guys.